Introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Phreddy Wischusen.
All right, now for Detroit is Different, I'm featuring you as a creative, and you definitely are one of the most different Detroiters that I know that has impressioned so many different people. So first, let's talk about how did you come to Detroit?
10 years ago, I was working as a waiter for a restaurant called J. Alexander's in Atlanta, Georgia, outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and they transferred me here to their Somerset location.
Okay, now, what did you think when you immediately moved to Detroit?
Wow, when I immediately moved here, I'll tell you, for the first 6 months that I lived here, I lived just north of downtown Royal Oak, but I was working so much I didn't even know that downtown Royal Oak existed, let alone anything in the city. So my knowledge of Detroit was limited completely to the finer areas of Clawson and the Somerset Mall. So my impressions of the area were not what they are now.
Okay, so when did they start changing?
In 2006, I started getting involved with some people who were doing artistic projects in Pontiac. And then I started to see some of the amazing things going on. And then our work in Pontiac led us to meet all sorts of interesting people in Detroit. And then I kind of fell in love with everything going on here.
Okay, now I'm introducing you as a creative because you do a lot of different things. You're a writer, you're a graphic designer, you also make music, you also can write scripts, you act, you do comedy, you do a lot of different stuff. So talk a little bit about all of the different arts you take on.
For me, it all sounds, when people hear you do all sorts of different things, they think, well, this guy kind of probably has to suck at everything. And in my mind, all of these seemingly diverse endeavors really are one thing, which is a way that I hopefully precipitate, I hopefully sort of call in the meaning in our stories. So every song is a story, every joke is a story, every way that you share with people, everything they do is a story. So how do you use stories, a beginning, a middle, and an end, to sort of help show people how meaning comes out of life and to get in contact with their own sort of internal world. So actually something that translates the world of spirit and manifests it in the physical world where so much of our day is spent.
Okay, now as you talk about that, what was one of the first things just in your creativity that you got into as a child?
I started writing stories when I was really little.
You remember any of them?
Yeah. I'm surprised that nobody called like defects or anything. I don't know. Is that what they call it up here? Mm-hmm. When your parents are... Anyway, I wrote a story in second grade about a kid who gets abused by his mom. Mm-hmm. And it won a prize. But I think somebody should have just asked me what was going on at home.
Okay. All right. So since then, these whole ideas of stories and catching on, what are some of the stories that you like most about Detroit that you remember hearing or sharing or getting information about?
I read this article in the Michigan Citizen last December, I think it was, written by Baba Malik Yakini. And he was talking about how Detroit has been a hub of creative energy for a long time. That this idea that creatives are just coming to Detroit, that's false. That Detroit, what makes Detroit special is all the urban gardeners, the playwrights, the dancers, the musicians that have been here for generations. And Detroit really does have this sort of powerful creative energy that goes on. Every person that I've met is creating something, whether it's sort of the music and storytelling of somebody like Marsha Music, to the way that Nefertiti sort of like creates how the spiritual look over it, to all the rabbis I've met, to the novels of Dara Harper, to the hip-hop of Kari Way Frazier, to the way the folks at Detroit Denim and the Smith Shop create, items out of things. Like, everybody in the city is making something. It's seemingly out of the ether all the time. It's shocking and beautiful.
Okay, so as you talk about this, what are some of the creative projects you're working on now?
What am I doing right now? I am... today I was... there's this sort of Hasidic song form called a niggin, which is usually these wordless melodies that get
Sound like you said a nigga.
I was wondering how to spell it. It's spelled Nigun in English. But it's like these oftentimes wordless melodies that get handed down from rabbi to student. They get conjured up in these moments of like ecstatic prayer. And so today I was writing some of these using sometimes you'll use one line of scripture and then sort of take a melody off on that. So I've been writing some of those with kind of psychedelic background instrumentation. That's been really fun.
So it's like a musical psychedelic prayer?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
And that's why you're one of the most creative people I know to even come to this whole idea of bringing that concept to life. What drove you to want to do that?
Prayer is the most psychedelic experience of all.
Why you say that?
For a long time I kind of thought religious people were like normal, boring, you know? Because I really didn't understand, I really didn't have a personal connection to God. And then one day, so obviously a bunch of things change. I'm in the synagogue praying and I'm looking at all these lawyers, businessmen, PR people, whoever, it's just a gathering of regular folks. All standing there choosing together to concentrate their mind, heart, and soul on something that cannot be seen, but that they perceive as true. Everybody there sending their energy into the universe in ways that aren't immediately obvious with our bare eyes. And that's the essence of the psychedelic experience, is seeing beyond what is the everyday. And so, in one sense, it is the most psychedelic thing you can do. It is like the real connection where the material is not the most important thing in the room.
Okay. Now, with all of that being said, and definitely giving a great example, I'm going to share how people can get in contact with you. But what else do you have coming up where people can connect with your artistry? Because you do so much. And a person may just want to shake your hand, talk to you, have a conversation with you, anything.
Well, this Sunday, I will be DJing the Menorah in the D, the public menorah lighting in Campus Martius downtown. And I'm really excited about that because we're going to get to bring a lot of music in. Hopefully, Detroiters and people from Metro Detroit of every different background are going to hear something that speaks to them personally, that elevates the atmosphere so everybody, because the whole point of Hanukkah is to publicize a miracle. Now, there's a lot of miracles in the Jewish tradition. There's the splitting of the Red Sea, there's, all kinds of things like that, right? But the Hanukkah miracle is much smaller. It's just about a single light that burned for 8 days when it only should have burned for one. And so, a menorah lighting reminds us that there are small miracles in our lives every day. And so hopefully with the music that I'm going to play, that I'm going to pick out, is going to remind people of all the miracles in their lives, big and small. Miracles like love, the miracle of family, the miracle of belief, the miracle of what happens in this city on a daily basis. Whether or not it makes it into the newspaper, all the amazing creative endeavors that go on, and hopefully you'll kind of feel that in the soundtrack as the candles get lit in the darkness.
Okay, that sounds deep, that sounds very interesting, and most creative, as I always say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, and thank you everybody who watched this. Okay.